Hey everybody, it's your boy Marcus Norman from Gentleman Style Podcast, your host of the #1 podcast coming to you live in America. And today we have the incredible entrepreneur, Miss Alyson Lawson. This woman is impactful and absolutely incredible. Miss Lawson is currently the Chief Executive Officer of RaeLawson Enterprise and RaeLawson Enterprise 2.0. She's also a franchise operator of not one, but two 7-Eleven franchises with gas included, because you know you can do it with or without gas. I didn't know that. Miss Lawson is a Gen Y entrepreneur that possesses an extensive business acumen with a true passion and ability to connect with people. Miss Lawson actually attended Hampton University in Virginia on a golf scholarship. We're going to get into that in a little bit. There, she obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in business management. So she has the knowledge, she has the experience, she has the business acumen. Ms. Lawson also began her career in public service as a senior budget analyst in the Office of Financial Services for the City of Dallas, Texas. Ms. Lawson's business and financial background allowed her to attain her ultimate desire of one day becoming an entrepreneur. She believes in paying it forward. She is also a product of her tight-knit community, which she is very, very involved in. And of those selfless individuals in her inner circle who paved the way before her, Miss Lawson actively participates in several organizations and causes, one of them being the founder of the Lance and Lemons Memorial Foundation. She's a proud and active member of the illustrious, I gotta say, I can't let this go. She's a Delta. So she is a Delta of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc. Incorporated. Gotta say the Inc. She's blessed and also a blessed member of the St. Luke Community Church. So today on Gentleman Style Podcast, we have the amazing, the incredible Miss Alyson Lawson. Yay!
Hello.
Miss Lawson, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for coming and blessing us today. This is incredible.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. So diving right in, when did you realize you had the entrepreneurial bug? When did it first hit you?
Oh my goodness. It hit me probably 3 years ago. I wanted to be in corporate America. I wanted to rise. The degrees in which I got were from corporate for corporate America. And it probably about 3 years ago, I was sitting in corporate America and I felt disrespected. I felt underutilized. I felt that I wasn't being able to use my true talents. And so at which point I started to look up franchising. My father franchised 3 McDonald's in the Oak Cliff, Dallas area. And my mother is a realtor and a great realtor. She retired from the phone company, realized that she needed to do something else in life, and she became a realtor and built an empire around it, and is doing very, very well. So I think that I saw my 2 parents doing it, and once I felt disrespected in corporate America, I thought, what else can I do? And that is when I decided to look into franchising.
That makes absolutely sense. Just family entrepreneurial. It sounds like it's just in the blood.
I guess you could say it's just in the blood. But I guess what you could say.
And so your knowledge is vast. I mean, your bio is vast. I could read this all day long. What gave you the confidence to open your own gas station, and why the 7-Eleven brand?
What gave me the confidence? I think it takes confidence in general whenever you're an entrepreneur. So it's not just a gas station in which, you have to get into, but I think it's just entrepreneurship in general. It's like you're taking a leap of faith. And I think that whenever I looked up all of the franchises that were available, I think the 7-Eleven was not only the most easily accessible, but they were the one in which worked with you in order to get to your goal. And it kind of just felt, everything just kind of, everything just kind of falls into place and it just feels right. That was just one of the things. And I think that, as it got closer and closer to time to me opening, I thought to myself, like, am I going to be able to do this? You know what I mean? Like, am I going to be able to run an entire gas station? Especially so big. Hi, Shanique. But I think especially it just being so big, And it's just one of those things where I was like, sink or swim. Like every morning, I literally sat in my car and I thought, sink or swim. Allison, sink or swim. You don't have a backup plan, so the only thing you can do is, just swim.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And I really have to play this clip. Miss, and she's being very humble, y'all. She's being absolutely humble. She is not only a business-minded, strong, incredible Black woman, right? We got to give her a shout out for she's a Black woman in America doing big things, right? But she's also a great leader. And I got a clip. I got to show this clip of her great, amazing leadership. Just tune in and watch this. She has an incredible team, and she knows, even in a pandemic, to just have some fun. So this is Miss Lawson. Check us out. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Great leadership.
That was fun. That was really, really fun. And I truly do appreciate that. My staff, they are people tend to work for people that they genuinely like. And people tend to work for people in which they can relate to. And I think my staff, although they all have different personalities, which is amazing, I think the one thing that we have in common is that we like to have fun and feel comfortable in our environment. So if I can provide that for them, then in return, you get these videos.
You got to check her out, y'all. She is absolutely incredible. What were some of the obstacles in opening your franchise? What were some of the obstacles that you had to overcome?
Oh, man, there's just so many. It's just, I won't say that they're necessarily obstacles, but this is a completely new experience for me. And you're having to learn not only I was in corporate America. I grew up in Dallas, Texas. Like, I'm very well-rounded, but I think that whenever you take a leap of faith into entrepreneurship, and then especially into a gas station, it's a completely, different story. So I think that there's a lot of obstacles that I had to overcome, like just, being able to kind of just adapt to like attitudes, and then kind of being able to, and don't get me wrong, I manage people in corporate America. But then now you're managing on a completely different level. Like, not only are you managing people, but you're having to manage 15 people. Everybody's different personalities. You're making schedules. You're doing everything like that. So I think there's a lot of little bitty obstacles that came with it. Just running a gas station in general, understanding, gas, understanding lots and vendors and all of that other type of stuff. It's just a complete leap of faith. But then you also had just obstacles just that come in your way that are like, people just trying not to let you be great, And I think as an entrepreneur, that is the one thing that people need to realize, is that like there's a whole heap of people that do not want you to be great. And you just kind of have to like overcome that in general. And it can just be anybody, you know what I mean? And I think that that was my biggest obstacle. But the point of the matter is that I overcame it. You know what I mean? And I was able to get over it and just run a successful business.
I love it. And you're touching on it, right? You're touching on it right then and there to say that there was a ton of obstacles and you were able to overcome despite all the odds. And you touched on it, the day-to-day operations of owning and operating a gas station. Why the difference between, would you think it would have been easier if you had went with a 7-Eleven without gas or with gas? What?
I think that people who have 7-Elevens without gas, it is where they're located. You know what I mean? Like whenever you go to downtown, there's always 7-Elevens with no gas because that's where they're located. You don't really need gas stations in like the downtown area. But I think that anybody who comes into something where you have gas, like I have gas, and that is pretty much what draws it in. I mean, I don't just have 7-Eleven gas, I have Shell gas, Exxon gas, and those people have a huge following. So that brings people to the lot because there's a lot of people who have Shell rewards and Exxon rewards and things like that, and it brings people to the lot. But after that, it's like they come in. And so I think that I will always pick a gas station with gas because it draws people in. But you can always go without it. But I think as for me, It is definitely not easier because you have pump problems. You know what I mean? People drive off the pump. It's all types of issues that come with having pumps, but it brings in more money. And anything that brings in more money, I'm down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are all about making money. And speaking about money, we got to pay some bills, y'all. We are going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll see you right back. Hey, y'all, we are back. If you are just tuning into the show, we have the incredible, the amazing, the Black Queen, Miss Alyson Rae Lawson. And she's spilling some tea, not one, but two franchise owner, multi-serial entrepreneur doing big things in Arlington, Texas. Big things.
Thank you for having me. I still thank you for having me. And like I said, in the evening times, I always take interviews at home in my bed. It's comfy. So I'm just excited. I'm just excited to be here.
Yes, we are excited to have you. The energy is incredible. I love it. You are inspiring me. You are helping me right now.
Thank you.
Tell us the strategy, because you have a business analyst background. So tell us the strategy, because your first location is actually across the street from your second location.
Right.
and some people might see like, well, what? She's right next to herself. She's her own competition. Tell us the strategy behind that.
Okay, so it's kind of a long story, but there's always been two 7-Elevens right across the street from each other. And you know, like whenever you go on road trips, and you see like gas stations on each major freeway on each corner, it's kind of like that. I'm on a major corner. So it's like wherever the traffic is, whatever exit you get off on, there's a gas station. And it just so happens that I own both of them. And for people who live in the community, one of them gets the morning traffic, the other one gets the afternoon traffic. My second store gets all the traffic where all of the shopping centers are. So they're both very profitable. They both have two different gas types of gas. So there's Shell followers and Exxon followers. There's no really bad situation about it, but I like people to know that like I didn't build the gas stations. The gas stations were already there. So I bought one, and it was a corporate store across the street. And at which point I decided to buy another. It kind of made me like I bought out my competition, kind of. And so therefore I'm making money coming and going. But from a management standpoint, it makes it a little bit simpler to share staff, supplies, to manage. At any given time, people see me walking across the street. And people honk because it literally is just right across the street. But from a management standpoint, it makes it a lot easier to manage. It's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. I love it. Love that. Just the next level thinking that she has right now. You're not going to get this anywhere else except on her Instagram page or the Gentleman Style Podcast. Here, live and direct, we have the queen herself. I love that. You actually won your first location in a contest. Tell us how that went.
Oh my goodness. So people always think I won it and I got it free and I just got to walk into it. That's not how it works. Like I actually applied to buy a store in Lancaster, Texas. And at which point, after I went through the whole franchising process and I made it through that and I was approved as just a normal franchisee, they told me about a contest that they were having for women where I could get the building cost paid. And so at which point I entered the contest. America voted and they voted for me. And at that point, I did win the contest. However, I still had to pay franchising fees, which I need people to understand that franchising fees cost the same, if not more, than starting a normal small business. So I definitely had a lot of skin in the game. And I came into buying the first one. But the contest was actually really fun. It was a 2-minute video as to why I believed that I should own a 7-Eleven. And my reason for wanting to own a 7-Eleven is to be within the community. There are a lot of people within the community that helped build me besides just my parents. And I would be remiss if I didn't pay that same homage by being that same person to the community that they were to me.
Amen. Amen. I love that. And you blew that person out of the water because it was a vote by your own community.
Oh man, it was a
She blew it out of the water. She's very humble, right? She's very, very humble. But she tore
I guess
that
I'm the word for it. I won with 45,000 votes. And the person behind me had 35,000 votes. But just to show you just how powerful women are, the year before that, they had a veterans contest, and the veterans, I think the winner won with 1,000 votes. Leave it up to women to kind of just show you how it's done. But yes.
Absolutely. Rally Black women, just empowering women. Got to stay connected. And that's how we grow. That's how we get to a better place. Community rallied around you to support you, but you also give back as well. You are a huge supporter of your own. And that is why I had to ask, I had to hunt you down and get you on the show. When I saw your story, I just was blown away. I was like, man, how do I get her on the show? But you give back. And
always
one of the things you do is so much to the point that your store is the only retailer and has the only retail collection, the entire retail collection of Black Girl Magic wines. And you're also their top retailer sales. So tell us how that relationship developed.
Okay, so first and foremost, you're so correct. I am a huge supporter of the community. Like I said, that community is the same community that raised me, and I have been really fortunate to be able to give back. I love, and a lot of that, people always think that like giving back means give your money, and that's not what it means to me. You know what I mean? Like giving back to me means like giving your time. And so I always make sure that I talk to students on career days, anything anybody needs from me as far as like children or school. Like I want to make sure that I am that role model that children can follow. But also like anybody, I remember when the George Floyd protests were going on. I made sure that I donated water to the protesters, snacks and things like that in order to make sure that they were well taken care of. But what you're talking about is bringing Black owned products into my store. And I make sure that I try to do that as much as possible. There are restrictions that I do have, but I did bring in the McBride Sister Black Girl Magic wine, as you see in the picture. I did bring in their wine, and I am their #1 retailer of wine sales. At one point, I was selling 1,100 bottles a day. And it was nuts. It was really nuts. I originally brought in the product to just have a Black owned product. I mean, I'm a Black owned store, so why not have Black owned products within the store? And so I just brought it in and just kind of advertised it on my own a little bit through social media, dropped it in some groups, and it just went completely haywire. And so now I am their #1 retailer. But it's not just Black Girl Magic. It's called McBride Sisters Wine. They have 3 wine collections. It's called, they have their She Can, their Black Girl Magic, and their Original. Their Black Girl Magic, of course, people love, and it's their top seller. And then I also sell a lot of She Cans and a lot of Original. Their wine is amazing. I drink it occasionally. Running 2 stores is a lot. And so you kind of just find what you like. And so I love their Original Sauvignon Blanc and their She Can Sauvignon Blanc. So it has been a great partnership. The McBride sisters are the sweetest, kindest women that you will ever meet. And it's just 2 Black owned businesses supporting each other.
I love that. I told you guys, huge think. The level of think on her is just absolutely, man. If you are just tuning in, this is Gentleman Style Podcast. We are on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Please like, share, and subscribe, because we have to uplift Miss Allison. We have to take her to the next level, and we have to support her and rally behind her, because community, right? That's how you change the world. That's how you change the game. And Miss Alyson Lawson is leading the charge right now. So we have to rally behind her. So please support her, connect with her. And if you're in Texas, swing by. What advice would you leave my audience who may be on the fence about business or even getting into becoming a franchisee?
I think being an entrepreneur is just hard in general. I think it's literally taking your ideas and trying to make them great and not building off somebody who already has their whole empire built. So it's already a leap of faith. I think that if you're in the world of corporate America and you're kind of on the fence of like whether or not you should stay or go, I don't think there's ever a point where you should just be like, I'm just about to take this leap of faith 100%. Let's see where it goes. I think there's always a point where you can do both until you can really fully say that you can support yourself on your own, or you're ready to support yourself on your own. And franchising is a little bit different. You can't do both. You got to pick one or the other. So I kind of just left corporate America and said, like, let's just see what happens. But if you're trying to not go the franchising route and you're just trying to like truly find where you are with your entrepreneurship, I say do both. But I think another big thing that I always tell people is like, be you. Like in order to be an entrepreneur, like you have to be you, because there's not a product, not a service out there that you're doing that is completely 100% different than somebody else. I guarantee you, your cakes are good. Don't get me wrong, but there are 100 people making cakes, and at which point you need to be selling yourself. And I think that means that like being you, like I didn't get to where I was today by being some cookie cutter person. Like I got to be where I am today because I am 100%, 100, you know what I mean? Like unapologetically me at all times. I mean, you showed my Instagram page, like I'm going to dance, I'm going to sing. You're going to get nice Allison. You're going to get attitude Allison. You're just going to get who I am in general. And that's what you have to do in order to kind of like sell yourself, in order to sell your product.
That makes absolute sense. I appreciate that because everybody, it's almost animatronic. It's almost like reading from a script, right? It's like you go into a store and it's, how may I help you today? But your page is you. It's authentically you. And when
you know how many 7-Elevens there are because right now there's a ton of 7-Elevens, and 7-Eleven is supposed to build another 10,000 over the next like 5 years. So like that's what I'm, like there's literally one on each individual. Like you see me, I'm right across the street from each other. And a part of it is like really just like selling myself in order for people. I have people that travel from like Denton to come get the wine. You know what I mean? Like it's and that's like an hour or two away. And so it's really just selling myself and people wanting to really just support a Black-owned business inside of a Black-owned business. So you really have to be setting yourself apart for people to travel just to be at your 7-Eleven.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much, Ms. Patience Dean. Thank you for that donation to the show. We appreciate you. You all. This is Miss Alyson Rae Lawson. I gotta catch myself because I'm excited. Right.
You've been excited. I really do. I really do. Since the day one I've talked to you, you've been extremely excited. So I really do appreciate that.
I gotta level myself because it's amazing. It's amazing. And you are just paving the way for so many of us and inspire me. Again, you inspire me. We are going to go to one more quick commercial break. We'll be right back. We'll come right back. Love you guys. Stay tuned.
Are you a local business looking to offer your customers easy access to cash without having to travel miles? We're here to help. At Norman Legacy Investments, we provide free ATMs with free installation that provide a suitable investment for your business. Even better, we offer you some profit sharing and handle everything from start to finish. Just reach out to us today to schedule a free consultation.
Thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in to Gentleman Style Podcast. If you are tuning in for the first time, we have Miss Alyson Rae Lawson, the impactful, the amazing, the incredible multi-serial entrepreneur on the show today. And she is spilling some tea, all the tea, as much tea as I possibly can. I got to give her back to her company, of course, but she is absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Miss Allison, Miss Lawson, what is the goal for your company? And what do you plan to do next?
Okay, so I get this question a lot. I don't like to really set goals for myself, and I know this sounds crazy, but I don't really like to set goals for myself because in my mind, it's always like, okay, like what if I set a goal and I don't reach it? First of all, that's depressing. But also, like, what if I set a goal and it's not high enough? And I could have been going so much higher. So I kind of just don't set goals for myself. I just kind of, I'm an opportunist. If I see something, I'm going to pounce on it and we're just going to build from there. So right now, my goal is to run 2 successful stores and see where that goes. And then we'll just go from there. But trust me, if I see an opportunity, I'm going to take it. But right now, I really just see myself just building me and building my brand. Because like I said, entrepreneurship is not just about your product. It's about you and how you sell yourself. So I just want to continue to sell myself and my brand while having enough time for, family and friends and free time. But yeah, that's about it. I really don't have like a lot of like where I'm going to go next. But I always get that question, and I love that question. But just know that I plan to grow. I just don't know how yet.
And that's absolutely, and that's what entrepreneurship is.
Exactly.
And is where the opportunity, you said it great, where the opportunity is. That's where the movement is. That's where the shift, that's where the pivot is. Right?
Thank you. Yes.
And so you are incredible. You are doing it.
Thank you.
We have survived this is like our 6-7 month of the pandemic, and there are businesses struggling.
I mean, I guess we're surviving. I don't really know. Like
you are doing great. You're doing absolutely great.
Thank you.
How has the pandemic affected your business? And how have you been able to just stay afloat? What advice would you give that struggling business out there to continue to thrive and do well during these times?
Right. So the pandemic, whenever it first happened, I think everybody was kind of on the same page, right? Like, let's ride this out for a month and like, we'll see where it goes. And, nobody expected, like my birthday was in August. I was like, okay, well, whoever's in, May, like, okay, y'all, but like in August, I'll be fine. And I think that like now people are in the pandemic in December, like, okay, I didn't think my birthday would feel like this. So I think that whenever it first started, I kind of was just like trying to feel out what happened, and you never really know. So I'm in Arlington, Texas, and Dallas, Texas is our largest city right next to us. And we already know whatever happens in Dallas, 2 weeks later, it'll happen to us. And so I saw Dallas shut down, and I was like, okay, like if this pandemic doesn't go away in 2 weeks, like we're shut down, and then we shut down. But luckily they mentioned us in liquor stores as essential, so here we are. But it really was just a matter of like just trying to figure it out. Like you didn't know it was coming, so I didn't know that I needed to cut back on staff. I didn't know that I needed to cut back on food. So really, just as a whole, as a business owner, we lost a lot of money that first month, just not really knowing what was happening. But I think that at that point, like my business mind kicked in. And I was like, okay, like what can I do? And that's around the time that I brought in the McBride sisters. So at that point, my sales were 200% plus, like 200+% than it was the previous year, because I was able to bring in a product. And so I think that I was able to kind of level myself out from the sales in which I lost with the McBride wine. But it's been a struggle, and just really trying to and I think as an owner, I was trying to take a step back right before the pandemic happened. You know what I mean? Like I've been owning a store for a year. It should be able to run kind of smoothly without me. So I took a step back. And then when the pandemic hit, I had to be right on the front line again. I had to be extra help and all this other type of stuff. And so it was just kind of an adjustment. And we're just now kind of getting back to the period where we may be like level with where we were last year, but then you never know what's coming up. So it's like now we've already seen a whiff of it. So now we know what to expect. So we just have to be ready for the next win. But the pandemic really messed a lot of us up. You know what I mean? Like it really messed a lot of us up. And for those who didn't have the wine, it was like, what do we do now? So I think that it's going to take a minute for small businesses to recover. And I think you're right. Like there's been you can drive down the street and just see all these small businesses that have closed. And it really is like touching to my heart, because it's like this is really just sad and it's really affecting the community. But I'm just hoping that like as we come out of it, people are able to like get back on track,
Right. We have a question. Ms. Danielle Clark asks, what kind of advice? She's an upcoming entrepreneur. She's multi-talented as well. Ms. Danielle asks, what kind of advice would you give a coming female entrepreneur? And I guess maybe like get her feet wet and get in the game and grow and start off.
Right. Well, Danielle, I do see your picture. So I'm going to tell you that first and foremost, the hardest working people and the people who have to get the most Black are going to be Black females, period. I think that it takes a very strong individual to be us. And I think that is first and foremost what you have also going for you as an entrepreneur. I think that if you want to be an entrepreneur, Right. I think that if you want to be an entrepreneur, that you first have to realize that it is going to be the hardest to be taken serious in this entrepreneurship game, but you will be the most successful because of it. I think that if you are going to become an up and coming entrepreneur, you need to find what makes you unique, like I said, and you need to go for that. Get tied with social media. That's my other advice. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people know that I am a Black-owned business, but I think a lot of my support is coming from social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And so that is really just not how you can get your information just known just within the community, but worldwide. And so I just think really just the hustle of it is what you're really going to need. And you just have to be fully prepared for like all of the negative comments, all of the positive feedback, just everything that comes your way. You just need to be just mentally prepared for it to just kind of push through.
Absolutely. Yes. Ms. Daniel, I hope that helped you. That definitely helped me.
Right. And if not, type another question. If not, type another question so I can get more specific if need be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Please like, share, and subscribe and comment, y'all. Ms. Lawson is here with us today and she's sharing and giving back. We have a second question from the infamous Shanique. When did you open your stores?
Ooh, good question. Okay, so I opened my first store in October of 2018, and I opened my second store in December of 2019. And so yeah. There's franchise, and I know a lot of franchisees who've done it, but it just takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedicated staff because they're not going to, grant you another store if you don't have your first store structure in place. But I think a lot of what helped me too is that my stores are directly across the street from each other. So it's not something to whereas like it was like 2 miles away and it would be kind of hard to manage. But everybody follows their own path. There's people who get stores within 6 months. There's people who takes 5 years to get another store. But I did open one in 2018 and one in 2019, about a year and 2 months apart. But I started training for 7-Eleven in like March of 2017. Okay.
So a 2-year window period and then an actual closing in 2018.
I'm sorry. Let me step back. Nope. I started preparing to start franchising in 2017.
Okay.
I started training in 2018.
Okay.
I wanted to make that very clear. My whole process started in 2017, but I didn't start training until 2018.
That's perfect. Thank you for clearing that up. That cleared it up. And Shanique, I hope that helps. Please follow up if you got more questions. That's incredible. That's explosive. You were on point to that's explosive growth. A second location within a year of your first location. That's unheard of.
Yeah. And honestly, I couldn't do it. I have to give a shout out to my staff. I don't get me wrong, I'm a very strong person. And like I tell my staff every day, if y'all don't get your stuff together, I can run this whole store by myself. But I really cannot do it without the help of my staff. They are immaculate. And I have about 5 individuals who are just solid. So I really do just want to thank them.
Absolutely. Shout out to the staffs. Shout out to those great dance moves, y'all. We're going to be tuned in and watching part 2 of that session. I'm going to be locked in. What is one book you would recommend that every man or woman should read?
I think that if there's one book that every man or woman should read, it should be Becoming by Michelle Obama. And my mother bought me that book, and she's going to be so mad at me. My mother bought me that book probably about 3 years ago or whenever it first came out. And she knows that I do not have the time to sit down and read. It's just a thing. I do not have the time to sit down and read. But she knows that. So she bought it to me on audio. And I read it sometimes going into work. And so I haven't finished the book, but I know that Michelle Obama is probably the most influential person that I can personally think of, like in my mind as female women right now. First and foremost, she was the first woman in the White House to have rhythm. So first and foremost, that just is the most amazing thing to me. But secondly, she is just an amazing person to be a first lady who is just so educated and so influential and just loves kids and loves fitness. And so that just kind of just resonates with me.
Absolutely. That's great. You all have to. She is very transparent on her page and on social media. She's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And she is just peeling back the onion today on Gentleman Style Podcast, the #1 show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have another question from Mr. James Taylor. Can you and she mentioned this earlier, but can you own other businesses as well and work another job as well while owning a franchise? That's how I interpret that question.
Okay, right. As owning, I was about to say you can do whatever you want when you have your own, whenever you have, like your own small business. But as far as like, can you do two things at once? Of course you can. However, I suggest as a first-time franchisee, you should not. As a first-time franchisee, that store needs your complete 100% undivided attention to make it great and to really build an infrastructure in which you need. In fact, 7-Eleven recommends it and probably will only really, really approve those who have one business at a time. I will say that once franchisees get to a point where they can maintain one and maintain two, at that point, like, you do whatever you want to. If your stores are running and you're staying within the guidelines of your contract, you do whatever you want to after that. But I suggest, me personally, I wouldn't have been able to work a full-time job or another job and be able to franchise. Like, you need to get this right. This is something that needs to be done right. And after that, I do know a franchisee who owns I think he owns like 8 7-Elevens, and then he also owns like 3 salons. You know what I mean? Like, it is very, very possible. But you just have to have the right infrastructure and the right foundation to do so. And you will not have that right foundation starting off.
I felt exhausted that. When you said a salon, 8 locations, I instantly became winded.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, how does he do it?
Another question: where were there other franchises that you were interested in?
Man, I will say this: 7-Eleven kind of just came to me. Not like they came to me, but like in my mind, it just kind of came to me. Am I interested in other franchises? My father was a franchisee of McDonald's. In a perfect world, would I have liked to buy a Chick-fil-A? Of course. But I will say that 7-Eleven is one of they make it very simple for you. You know what I mean? Like, they lay it out for you. And it was something to whereas there's literally a 7-Eleven on every corner. Like I said, I have 2 right across the street from each other. But then also, like, there's tons of 7-Elevens. There's only one major McDonald's within an area. So it is a lot harder to get a McDonald's or a Chick-fil-A or a Jimmy John's or something like that, because it literally is like competition on. But with 7-Eleven, there's so many. So were there other franchises that I was interested in? Probably. Do I remember it? Not really. But 7-Eleven, once I had applied and talked to the person, I was like, this is probably the one for me.
Awesome. And Mr. James Taylor has a follow-up. She a Hampton U grad. We family.
We run HU. What are you? Are you a QT quintessent? That's what I am.
Yeah. So, Mr. James Taylor, get in the comments. What are you? Who are you? Well, I know who you are, but Hampton University represent. Yeah. Do we have any Deltas in the audience? I don't think we have any Deltas tonight, but following on, probably we will.
Right. Okay.
Miss,
I'll represent for us, ladies.
Yes, she represent holding it down. Miss Lawson, who are your heroes and why?
Oh my goodness. I'm a very simple person who is impacted by the smallest of things. So while people have these big heroes like Barack Obama that's not me. My heroes are local town heroes, So my parents are my heroes, like just watching them and being who they are and being 2 strong individuals, you know what I mean? Like that already is like enough to inspire me. But just seeing people in my community, Dr. Harry Robinson at the African American Museum in Dallas, he gave me my first job as a junior docent. He just believed in kids, Leonard Jones taught me the game of golf, which eventually got me a full golf scholarship to Hampton University. So like him, in itself just inspired me. So just local town heroes always just inspire me, But I have so many of them. But just know they all help to mold me into who I am today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm gonna change up. I really ask it a certain way. How do you give back to the community, or what is your favorite way of giving back to the community?
My favorite way of giving back to the community is speaking with children. Children are my passion. And you can give all the money in the world you want to, but at the end of the day, kids aren't going to see it. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to feel it, but they're not going to see it. And I think that I like to be in front of children, letting them see that I am just a normal, I don't wear business suits or anything to career day. I dress up as myself as I dress up at work. in black pants and a t-shirt that looks like this. And just letting them know that like there are people out there who are young and look just like you who have made something of themselves. And that's kind of just how I give back, because you never know like what kids you will inspire.
It's true. It's so true. And that's why I had to reach out to you, because you inspire me. Even on the clips and the research that I did on you, you inspire me. Everything about you just aligned. And it just was like, and you give me hope above all else. You give me hope that that anybody can do it. Your past doesn't dictate your future.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the 7-Eleven brand, and I use that you're an incredible, strong woman, but above all else, you inspire. And that's what we need right now. With everything going on, recession, pandemic, $600 stimulus checks, you give us hope. And I thank you. I thank you for everything that you're doing. And I meant what I said, y'all. We have to rally behind. If you are in a Texas area, we have to rally behind this woman and support this woman and uplift her and continue that mindset of community, because that is how we change the world. Ms. Lawson, how can my audience connect with you, link with you, get with you?
Yes, I am huge on just support. And if you support me, I support you. You can always come in and see me, 100 East, Interstate 20, 700 West, Interstate 20, Arlington, Texas, Matlock and 20 right there on the corner. You can find me on Instagram, which is my biggest platform, and I post every single day at the number 7 spelled 11 _ Rae, RAE Lawson, as you see right there. You can find me on Facebook at RaeLawson _ the number 7 spelled 11, as you see there. And you can also find me on Twitter at RaeLawson _ the number 711, as you see there.
Love it. Love it. Ms. Lawson, thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with us today on the Gentleman Style Podcast Show. I appreciate you. I adore you. And as you grow, we would like to grow with you. So I hope we can get you back in 6 months to a year to connect and to grow with you and to be that driving force and continue to lead the forefront.
Yeah, maybe I'll have another surprise for you by then.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Regional manager. I see it. Regional manager, district manager of
no.
They're gonna try. They're gonna try and bottle up that black excellence. But
yeah, nothing like being your own owner. So your own boss.
True. You all have been incredible, Ms. Lawson. I thank you, my sister. You are incredible. Please continue to try and don't give up. Don't ever give up. No matter what, we need you, and you are a game changer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And my audience, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you all, friends and family and adored loved ones. Thank you for that donation, Ms. Patience Dean from earlier. We appreciate it. Helps us grow the channel, helps us make the platform better, and continue to get great guests like this on the show. So, like I always say, like I always end the show, thank you all for tuning in to Gentleman Style Podcast. And thank you all for subscribing. Like I always say, take care of your friends and take care of your families, and always take care of business. This is Marcus Norman and Miss Alyson Rae Lawson signing off. Love you guys.